start with my study. Here are the research questions and hypotheses. Basically, we have two purposes in this study. The first purpose is descriptive or explorative. We want to explore the political information practices and ideological pattern of new mainland Chinese immigrants in Hong Kong. We hope to describe these two factors. And the second purpose is to test the correlations between people's information practices and their ideology. So here are our hypotheses. The more mainland Chinese immigrants are exposed to mainland Chinese information sources, including traditional media, social media, etc., we expect them to demonstrate more authoritarian and nationalistic political values. And we expect them to report more change in the nationalistic and authoritarian direction after coming to Hong Kong. And the more the immigrants are exposed to overseas and Hong Kong information sources, we expect them to demonstrate more democratic and less nationalistic political attitude, and we expect them to report more attitude change in this direction after coming to Hong Kong. Here's the implementation. We used an online survey and we distributed it through online forums, social media platforms, and bulk emails, and we got 545 valid and completed responses. And here are our results. So first, we explored people's traditional media use. There are three groups. The first group is their use of Hong Kong traditional media. And this group is their use of mainland Chinese traditional media. This group is their use of overseas traditional media. And the red column represents online media, online traditional media. I can give you some examples. Basically, online traditional media in our study include the online version of some traditional newspapers like Ming Pao and HKEJ Online, and also some pure online media like HK01 or the Initial Media that are edited by human instead of algorithm. So that's the main definition. And the green one represents TV, orange radio, and blue newspaper. So as we can see, mainland Chinese online traditional media are the most popular sources of information, political information for new mainland Chinese immigrants in Hong Kong. And here is their discussions with other people about politics. As you can see, the highest column represents their discussions with mainland Chinese immigrants in Hong Kong, people similar to them. And the green column represents their discussions with mainland Chinese living in mainland China, which basically means their friends and family back in mainland China. And this column represents their discussions, political discussions in mainland Chinese online and offline forums. And this is their discussions with Hong Kong locals, foreigners in Hong Kong forums and overseas forums. As we can see, they are mainly having political discussions with other mainland Chinese immigrants in Hong Kong and other mainland Chinese people. So here comes to the social media use. The blue columns represents their use of mainland Chinese social media, including Douban, Weibo, and mainland Chinese news application. This news application refers to the applications which give you news based on algorithm instead of human editors' choices. And WeChat is the most popular social media platform, and Zhihu and mainland Chinese video sites. The orange columns represents their use of overseas social media platforms. As you can see, the most popular one is YouTube, and followed by Instagram and Facebook. But overall, mainland Chinese social media platforms are more popular than overseas social media platforms among our participants. Actually, knowing their which platform they are using is far from enough, because, for example, both of us may use Facebook, but we can get totally different information from Facebook, because Facebook give us information based not only on issues' popularity, but also based on our own preferences and our friends' online activities, etc. So we find it's very important to investigate into people's social media timelines in detail. So we asked our participants, like for those who have used YouTube in the past week, we asked them among the 10 videos YouTube gives you, how many of them are related to politics? And the average of their answer results in the height of this column. This represents the proportion of political information in YouTube. And we also have the information for other social media platforms. As you can see, although our participants spend a lot of time on social media platforms, only about 10 to 30% of their time spent on social media are devoted to acquiring political information. And we also further examined the composition of the political information in their social media timelines. We asked them, among 10 videos related to politics that YouTube gives you, how many of them are about sensitive news in mainland China, the blue column? How many of them are about insensitive news in mainland China, the orange part? And how many of them are news about Hong Kong, the green part? And how many of them are related to other countries, the red part? So as you can see, for this part, the mainland Chinese social media platforms, people are getting overwhelmingly mainland Chinese insensitive or regular news. And in this part, the overseas social media platforms, people are, the different types of political information is pretty evenly distributed. They have much information about other countries and much sensitive news about mainland China. So here is our findings. So we can see that indeed our participants have transnational connections to both mainland China information sources and Hong Kong information sources. Although having come to Hong Kong, they are still more attentive to the mainland Chinese information environment. We also examined their deliberate search for information. We asked them, if you encounter a news about a sensitive news about mainland China that you are unfamiliar with, will you search for more information about it? And as you can see, over 80% of them are interested in sensitive news of mainland China and will search for it for more information. And we also asked them, what about a piece of news about Hong Kong? Over 60% of them are interested. And then, what about mainland Chinese regular news? Only less than 40% of them are interested and hope to search about more information about it. So as we can see from their search preferences, actually our participants are more interested in sensitive news about mainland China, followed by news about Hong Kong, and then they are least interested in insensitive news about mainland China. But what are they getting from the media they use day to day? We can see this is their traditional media use. They are mainly using mainland Chinese traditional media, where sensitive news about mainland China is never allowed. And as for their social media use, they are using mainland Chinese social media. And in such social media platforms, the information are overwhelmingly about insensitive news about mainland China. So they are more interested in sensitive news about mainland China, but they are getting insensitive news about mainland China from the media they use. So why don't they take advantage of the relatively free information environment in Hong Kong and reach out to local and overseas sources for political information, like information about sensitive news in mainland China or news about Hong Kong, which they are more interested in? This is a question, and here are several possibilities. First, they have transnational ties to their home country, and as is identified by several scholars, can facilitate immigrants' adaptation to the host country environment. It's like the process is very difficult when you first come to your host country. You feel very nervous, and you can chat with your friends and family back in your home country, and you feel protected or supported. And so, if they need this transnational ties, then they will have more discussions with their friends and family back in home country. And they also need to consume home country media so that they can have topics to discuss about with their friends and family back in home country. And also the technology development, including the development of online traditional media and instant message applications as well as social media, have facilitated their transnational ties. The second possibility is selective exposure. So our participants hold a relatively authoritarian and nationalistic attitude. I will mention it afterwards, but this is part of our result. And Hong Kong media and local peers, the mainstream attitude among Hong Kong media and local peers may be different. So discussing with local people and reading Hong Kong media may mean facing uncomfortable facts and opinions. So in order to avoid such cognitive dissonance, maybe they'll just choose to lock themselves in the mainland Chinese echo chamber